Hey guys, what's going on? So today we are going to be talking about, if you haven't already guessed it from the title of the video, frame extension. So as you can see, I've already chopped the frame here. I've just kind of got it braced together with some big piece of angle iron. So I actually have a kit here. This is from code 504. It's an S10 frame extension kit. It came with some instructions. I'm not really going to go and show all the instructions and all that. You know, that's their own personal stuff. I'm not going to show that, but I'll show you, what's involved here, what I've done with the frame up to this point. I'll kind of go over that real quick, what I did for measurements. And then, well, I guess we'll just go over real quick what's included in their kit. So their kit is basically just 4 pieces of sheet channel. And then you've got some brackets here. Basically, these will get welded across your butt welds or of your C channel to extend the frame, and then you'll plug weld all the holes and weld this all the way around. So the C channel we got, the first 2 pieces are shorter in length. Let's see, these guys are basically 11 inches long. And then the height on these, probably a little hard to tell on the camera here, but they just sit roughly 5.5. Yep, doesn't want to focus, but they're 5.5 inches tall. And then the legs on these, they're looking at roughly just 2 3/8 from all the way at the front to all the way to the back. And then thickness on these plates, let's see here, .1839. So basically there's 3/16 plates. The longer ones, they are the same 3/16 plate. And the other pieces as well are also basically all 3/16 plate. The other long pieces here, these guys are 20 inches in length. Like I said, there's 2 of those. There are 4 of the other plates here. Size on these guys, just a little over 8 inches long, about just a hair under 4 inches tall. And the holes are 1/2 inch diameter holes, all of them. So you got 6 of those on all the plates. So what did I do for chopping the frame here? So basically I got everything laid out as we talked about before, and then I took a measurement. There's a line on the frame here where it's actually welded together. I basically took that and I measured back, I think it was 11 inches. Yeah, I measured back 11 inches from there. Not exactly easy to see here. I got my clamps kind of in the way. There we go. Measure back 11 inches. I put tape lines on both sides. Mark that all out, and then I actually welded braces on the top, 1 brace on the top, 1 brace on the bottom, in front of where I was going to cut, as well as behind where I was going to cut. I welded the one on top, actually the one on the bottom, sorry, this one's not welded in. This one is actually bolted through from the outside, and I've got studs. I welded nuts inside of the plate, the piece of bar. I think it's 3/4 tube. Same thing back here. That one's bolted through. The top one is welded on. That way the frame won't spring apart or anything like that when I go to cut it. So this was all actually pushed together there. That's where I cut it. Actually came out pretty nice, the cut line and all that. I guess basically where you cut it, not super critical. Code 504 specifies in their kit kind of where you should cut it. I did mine a little different. So this frame is actually, I think, a 2000 or 2001 S10 frame. So this frame, as you can see, it's already got sections of it are already boxed in. Whereas if you get the older S10 frames, None of that boxing is inside the frame there. That's all open like the back half of this frame is. The whole thing up here would have been open on the earlier S10 frames, where this one's not. So this frame is actually a bit stronger than the earlier S10 frames. So actually, you could see, started cutting some of that out there and there. So when I go to put it together, basically you'll take the shorter C channel. That's gonna go in here, like so. The frame's gonna get pushed together. Then I got that all cut out so I can actually tack this together on both sides, top, bottom, all that stuff there. And then the rest of this actually gets cut out. Then what you do is you take the longer piece of sheet channel. You have to cut it all down to size, so I'll go over what I'm going to cut this to then. So these pieces here are actually probably going to get cut down. They're actually too long right now. Not by a whole lot, but probably going to end up cutting those down. This, I believe, is actually supposed to fit inside of the other C channel. And basically this is your new piece that you're going to fill the inside with. So figure that out once we get there. And then, like I said, the little fillet or whatever you want to call these go inside probably. Actually, these will get welded in the inside first before the other piece goes in to join the gap. And you'll plug weld those. Then put the other piece of C channel in there, weld that in. So a lot of this I'm going to cut all that out, and it's all going to be replaced by that new piece of C channel. The factory welds are, I don't know how they did it, but they're like way back inside there. You can't even see them like flush with the outside at all. They weld them like way back in there somehow. So all that, I'm gonna have to cut that out, grind all that off, so that the other piece of C channel fits in there real nice, and then weld her all up. So real quick, what I did for measurements, I've actually got this written down somewhere. So here we go. Truck is a 1995 Dodge. The wheelbase, because this is a 7.5 foot bed, is 116 inches. 2000 S10 wheelbase is 108.3. The control arms that I'm getting from Michigan Metal Works, those are going to move the front wheel actually a ½ inch forward. So basically we're adding a ½ inch to the S10 wheelbase of 108.3. It's going to give us 108.8 inches. So if we take the 116 of the Dodge, we subtract out what the S10 is going to be with the control arms. That means we need to add 7.2 inches onto our frame so that our wheels are where they should be. Then down here, these numbers are measurements that I took off the frame. So if you take a look at the frame here, up on the front here, there is a hole behind the control arm. This hole is the exact same on both sides, so driver's side, passenger side. They're not exactly in the same spot, the bolts, which is why my measurements are off. If you look, the holes are actually slotted. The driver's side one I've got farther back than the passenger side, so my measurements aren't exactly the same from side to side, but no big deal because I wrote them down for both sides. So we've got those marking pins basically on the front. The bolts are just regular bolt heads. I didn't grind those off. Then we come all the way to the back on the rear hump on both sides. This hole is in the same spot on both sides. As you can see, the heads are ground to a point. So this side, and then there's the one on the other side there. So what you can do is you take a tape measure, which I'm not going to do this now, I already did it. You strain the tape measure from your front hole. You can just stick it right on the top of the bolt head. You drag it all the way back to the back. Come on, focus. And then you drag it all the way back. And you can stretch it right onto the tip of the bolt that we ground the head off of to a tip. And then you get an accurate measurement. So I got those written down right here. So this is the driver's side. We're looking at the top number, not the bottom number. So 103 5/16 for the driver. Passenger side, the bolt wasn't in the same spot. We're looking at 103 9/16 for the passenger side. So then what I did was I took those measurements on both sides, and then that's where I added in the 7.2 inches to each. So that gives me the passenger side and the driver side from the bolts at the front to the pins. So then we slide the frame back, and when we go to weld it together, we need to make sure that the measurement, once again, from the front pin to the back pin, this side is going to be 110.5125, and then this side over here is going to be 110.7625. So basically 110 3/4 on this side, 110.5 on the driver's side. Then is what we're shooting for. Plus or minus, you know, 1/8 of an inch. Not going to get super crazy about that. So I guess next, I'm gonna have to cut down these plates to the around 7.2 inches, maybe 7.25. We'll see what we end up. And then you can see I've already got some big piece of angle iron. This isn't included in the kit. This is all other stuff you had to buy. So this is some big angle iron I've got here. So basically I use this to put underneath. Just get a measurement. So those are 3-inch leg angle iron. Then I just ground out around where the bolts will be. Well, that one's not anymore. And on the bottom actually of the frame, if you can see, there's a section I actually had to cut out or notch. I got notched out because the frame has like a lump weld line on the bottom, so that all got ground so it fits nice. So then those are clamped on from the top to hold the plate up, the angle iron up, and then also the side to hold it in, and basically use that as a ledge to put your C-channel on after you cut it to length. And then you butt the frame together, measure both sides again, then we'll start doing some tacks on it, and then from there, you know, it'll get welded out. Like I said, these guys will go on the inside, welded here, all the way around, then the other C-channel goes in, and then everything gets welded up. So that's it for now. Hopefully I'll try and continue this and just splice all together as one video, so let's get moving. So a little update here on the frame extension that we're working on. As you can see, we've already got our extension welded in. So the extension we ended up doing was 7.2 inches. So that's what this plate is right here. So this is 7.2 inches. That's what we chopped and added to the frame. You can see right there all the burn through marks. That's because on the back side there are like fish plates that we welded in. They've all got plug welds, and then they've been welded completely around both fish plates, top and the bottom. I have the frame right now kind of standing up on end because it was a lot easier welding the fish plates to just kind of tilt the frame up. I didn't tilt the frame up until basically everything else was welded in. All the bracing was on still. I had the angle iron pieces. Those were actually still on, and I welded at least half the fish plate in, except for where the angle iron was on the back side, so I wouldn't get any burn through that would weld those plates fast to the frame itself. The one kind of got stuck. I was able to at least chop it off then, no problem there. So back side here, get some light. So there you can see the fish plates. They are welded in completely on the bottom side. So they each got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plug welds, and then I welded the perimeters all the way around both of them. I kind of just put them dead center over the over where the frame was cut. They're kind of just dead center over that, and then welded in place there. Next up is going to be putting in the actual inside plate. So these, I'm using the entire length that was provided in the kit. This one actually is already laying inside the frame. You can see we went and we drilled some holes here on the top of the frame on both sides, and then we're actually going to flip the frame. We've got them kind of laid out. We're going to drill some more holes on the bottom side, so then when those plates are in there, the seams are going to get welded completely up, and they'll actually also be able to do the plug welds just for some extra support there. So that's where we're at right now on the extension. So we're getting pretty close to being done with it. So I'm going to probably go and drill those holes. We'll flip the frame, drill the other holes, maybe get this plate tacked in, get the other one tacked in, and then I'm just gonna, weld them clean out. This one actually lines up. This is how this is how we cut the factory frame there. Originally this frame, like I said, was like a 2000 S10. This was all solid plate in here, so we actually cut all that out. Focus. Straight cut that out, and our plate actually just drops right in. And then it'll fit nice. And then the back half, all of that's probably going to get, well, this is all going to get cut out of that nice rusty gas tank section or whatever. And then the rest of this is all going to get plated in. So we're going to box the whole rest of the frame in, so it looks nice and neat like the rest of the frame, and it'll look good for when we do our parallel 4-link setup and whatever else we do for the rear itself. These plates actually, I actually cut them shorter, so they actually kind of go almost all the way in, stop a little bit before the radius of the frame. So these were actually so tall that I had to cut them. So this leg was a lot longer here. So I actually ended up cutting, I think, a little more than ½ inch. I think it ended up being like 5/8 of an inch I cut off. And then I just used those scraps to just practice for welding and stuff like that. So that's basically it there for now. Get these holes drilled out and start welding these plates, and we'll go from there. So here we are with the frame extension pretty much basically totally in. So right here, these are the plates we added on each side. Like I said, behind these guys is where those fish plates are on the inside. That's fully welded up. And then we've got these outside plates on here. They're fully welded. They're welded on the top, the bottom. I also did some holes in the top and the bottom to weld shut as well. You know, just for extra grab. I'll grind that all off later. Both plates are in, and then started doing the rest of plating the frame in the back half. Don't mind that piece, primed the wrong side, no big deal. So that's passenger side there, driver side over here. So you can see I just continued on. I know I shouldn't have done a straight cut here on these sides. I should have done some sort of slash cut like that guy right there's an angle. All the way back here, this one's more going to be at an angle as well. I mean, a lot of this isn't super structural back here for the frame pulling apart or anything, so I don't think the vertical cut right there is going to matter. So right now I still have to weld the vertical cut there, this guy back here, and then actually I didn't do any of the bottom yet. That's all just tacked on right now. I got a whole bunch of tacks on both sides. The top sides are completely done, so I made that all the way back. The only spots not done is by this guy here and right by this crossbar up here. So I kept 2 crossbars on. I moved one that was up here, cut that off, moved it back. The other one that was in the middle, I removed that when I put the other frame extension plates in. So I just kept one back there also to try and keep the frame from trying to pull in towards itself. But top's all done. This side, you got the welds on the top as well. Those I just drilled like 3/8 or 1/2 inch holes and then just filled them to weld to, you know, remember this is these are U-channel plates, so the U-channel goes in, so these welds are actually onto the U-channel to help hold top and bottom. Yeah, that one's a big one. That'll all get ground off. The front, this is how I tied in to the this is how I tied into the front. This side's done. I might fill some of those pinholes. This side over here is not completely done yet. I got that little guy right there. That needs to be filled in yet, and that little bit along the top. What I did is actually I flipped the frame up on its side to weld all that. As you probably saw in the other clips here. It makes it a lot easier. This stuff, since it's all on top, just put the frame back on the stands that I got here. Scaffold stands. It makes it a lot easier. Leveled it all out so everything was leveled, and then I did the welding on the top side of all that. Here once again, you can see where I got my trans cross member in there. So that's helping hold up here. I might do, not sure yet, but I need something else back here connecting. I need a drive shaft hoop. I don't want to do the drive shaft hoop off of the trans cross member, so back here I might do some sort of X behind the trans cross member, and then somehow off of that I'll do like a drive shaft loop up there, since the drive shaft sticks just past the cross member here. That's where the drive shaft starts, a little bit past that. So if I do an X right in the triangle section of the X there, I might have enough room that I can just put my drive shaft loop in the front there. The rear one, I don't know. That's going to land somewhere back here. I'm not worried about that yet. So the reason I stopped my frame plating here is back here is where we're going to do our C-notch. So that's going to go in here, which I actually have started my C-notch kit. I actually bought a kit, which is actually really awesome. I can talk about that once I get the C-notch in. I'll go over all the parts for that. But I welded all these pieces up, and the welds on this actually came out like really nice. This is like a quality kit. I really recommend the kit that I use. I'll link that once I go over the rear setup. I'll do a video with the C-notch and all that. So yeah, that's gonna go on back here. The axle, that's gone. The whole rear end, that's out. It's out of the garage right now. It's getting cleaned up and hopefully sandblasted soon. And then I'm gonna drop it off at the shop. That's going to chop that down, shorten it for me, and they're gonna weld on new ends. And then I'll get new axles. I can get that guy back over here so I can put the rear in. Trying to figure out where it's going to go, so I know where the C-notch is going to go, so I can start working on that, getting the rear situated and all that. That's kind of what's happening next. I'll probably flip the frame weld the bottom, and then that's kind of what's going on next, amongst a few other things. Here's a little preview. So for the rear end, I'm working on a custom parallel 4-link. I don't like most of the kits that you see online, so I decided I'm just going to go ahead and make my own. So this is actually a custom parallel 4-link I designed in Fusion 360. I modeled it up. I actually 3D printed it on my FDM 3D printer. So designed that all up, printed it out, and then I've got one of my heim joints in here. I've got a whole bag of them on the shelf over there, so I've got all the heim joints ready to go. So that's coming up next. A little side shot here. So I'm working on that. I'll probably end up doing some sort of holes on the back here. I don't know exactly how many or what, but that's probably where I'll try and mount the rear shocks off of. Yeah, I'm gonna put shocks on this so it rides better, but I don't know if it's going to sit on the outside of the frame or if we're going to go on the inside. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working with for that. This is just going to be the rear one that goes on the axle. The ones that are going to go on the front that mount to the frame, I did not design those yet. That's actually coming up next soon. I got to get working on that, print those out so I have some mock-ups for that. And when I get the rear, I can start figuring that out. So that's going to be it for the frame extension kit. Any questions, drop me a comment and I'll see what I can answer. Any other information, pictures, whatever you guys want, let me know and I can get you any information. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe for more comment. Until the next one, talk to you guys then.